Talk about what you guys kind of were all doing down there in Las
You
Vegas.
know, it was really a fun trip. It was something that had started evolving, about 6, 8 months ago in the city of Las Vegas with the Golden Knights. And, they've got just a really fun atmosphere, and they decided to make us a part of that atmosphere for the weekend. So, I had a chance to meet with, a number of their season ticket holders, and then obviously go to one of our hockey games, which is, wow, it's quite a production, and that city has just really embraced hockey. So it was just a lot of fun that way.
How fun is it probably catch up with some of those guys? And it's probably like after a couple minutes, it's like you never missed a beat, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Chaz. We've stayed in contact, and of course, a number of the players were from Minnesota, and so are still living in Minnesota. And of course, the conversations are a little bit different now. We're talking about family and grandchildren, and when people plan on maybe retiring, what they're going to do. Hey, can we get together again sometime? So, yeah, certainly the conversations are a little different, but you're right. The minute you kind of get together, it's as if you just finished practice and you're coming out of the locker room.
That's awesome. Um, I think I was gonna ask too is at the time when that was going on, when you guys beat Rush, you had the gold medal. Did you know it was gonna become as big as what it is today?
No, I don't think anybody had any idea that the story, if you would last this long and be recognized. I mean, we were just honored to be playing for your country and playing in the Olympics in the United States. And of course, Lake Placid was a small market, very small, and at the time you didn't have the coverage that you had. So, living in the Olympic Village and, really kind of, I'd call limited access to news and that, didn't really know the impact that it was having on people. And of course, it lined up with a kind of a difficult time in our country's history, and a lot of difficult things going on at the time. And so, this kind of brought maybe a little bit of fresh air to the environment.
Talk about, like I said, how big it's become. Like how many people, still come up to you or talk about it, or I mean, it's 40 years later, and I feel like is it still like just as big kind of as it was back then?
It's really funny that way. It's funny, and yet it's really kind of I find it an honor. I still get requests for autographs in the mail fairly regularly. Of course, this year more so because of the 40-year milestone. And yeah, people recognize that event, and that I was a part of it. And maybe not so much Minnesota as much, which is understandable because we're a hockey community. And so, things like that are, I wouldn't say normal, but they aren't, they're not out of the realm. You've got hockey people living, working in this community. So,
Yeah. I guess when you look back at, it's 40 years ago, probably seems like it wasn't that long ago, but when you look back at that time when you started on that U.S. team and when you finished up, I guess, what do you remember most about that stretch, that journey?
I remember the journey. It wasn't, it wasn't. I loved the journey. I love the journey. I love, kind of being an underdog and playing that role. And I think the United States at the time was very much an underdog in the world hockey establishment. Certainly the Soviets were on, number one, and the Czechs close behind, and we were able to beat both of those teams. But that journey was, it makes it so much better. You're not, it's certainly not being taken care of like some teams are taken care of today. You handled your own bags, you moved from your own, from the hotels, and it was a long road. 6, 7 months from the selection of the team and starting out, working out in Lake Placid, and like I said, Herb Brooks was a taskmaster from a coach standpoint. So, there's a lot of those memories that go along with it. All real good though.
Yeah, for sure. And some of those guys, like you said, are in contact with, like from Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, there's a lot of those guys I know that are from the East Coast more over there and stuff. So, I mean, you probably haven't seen those guys probably in a long time as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't see, I'll talk to Mike Rizzioni every once in a while, but certainly don't see him or Jack O'Callahan, Dave Silk, and Jimmy Craig are the four who they all came from Boston University, actually. So, and there was always kind of that, rivalry, if you want to say that. They're proud of their hockey tradition, and so is the Midwest. And so, but all extremely great individuals, and yeah, we're close. So, love to get together with them and trade stories.
Yeah, just wrapping up here, Phil. I guess, obviously, I think a thing that made it was a huge story, before when you guys won, and Al Michaels' call, everyone remembers that. And then the movie came out, and that even just, I think, blew it up even more. So
Right.
talk about just how did you get like a lot of response to, like, after that movie came out? Things kind of blow up even more?
Yeah, I think number one, I think what the movie did was kind of lengthen the story a little bit to another generation. My age and older, who actually saw the original event. I mean, we're not there anymore, and so the movie, which did a really good job portraying the events and describing the events, even though there's some Hollywood involved in it, but it really brought it to another generation. In fact, they probably recognize the movie more than they do the actual original game, and kind of the excitement around that.
And like you were saying, though, obviously there's always a little Hollywood involved in movies and stuff. But and I heard that it's pretty accurate, though. Was it pretty good portrayed? Pretty accurate then.
Yeah, very very much so. Like I said, they took some poetic license, if you would, to make it maybe a little more dramatic or a little more exciting. But generally, I describe it as, it got you from here to there, and on the highway, and wandered a little bit in the ditch, but it got you right back on the road again. So it did a super job in doing it.
Yeah, I think everyone always remembers from that movie too. Like, I mean, one of the most important scenes, or kind of scenes that people remember, is the scene where Herb Brooks, after the game, brings you guys back out. You guys lost, I think. We
actually beat a Norwegian national team, but didn't play real well. And and for Herb, it's not about the outcome. It's about how well did you perform. And in that particular night, he was really disappointed in our focus and our performance, and so extended our stay on the ice for a little bit with quite a bit of skating. And I think that's what a lot of people recognize from that movie.
Yeah, for sure. Last thing here, are you guys hoping to plan on meet again? Hopefully have another anniversary. I know a lot of you guys are getting, pretty older now, but it's awesome that you guys can get back together and do something like that.
Well, somebody pointed out at a 50th, maybe a little bit out of the realm, because now we're going to be in our 70s, and I'd still like to think 70 is a pretty young age at this point in my life, but yeah, we always have a desire to get together, and I think we'll make that happen.